Hi guys, today I'll show you how to repair a lawnmower that kicks back when you go to start it. If it does start, it only runs for a few seconds and dies. And what I'm going to do now is start it up to show you the symptoms of this lawnmower, and I'm going to tell you exactly what's wrong with it. So this is a lawnmower with a Tecumseh engine, and before I try to start this mower, I'm going to prime it. Now if your mower kicks back when you go to start it, just be careful because you could hurt your elbow if it's really excessive. This one here only kicks back once in a while, not too often, but the major problem is that when it starts, it runs really rough and then dies. And you just saw how poorly it runs. Now somebody might think right away it's a carb issue, but actually the problem with this mower is that the flywheel key is sheared. And the reason why I came to this conclusion so quickly is because if you flip the mower over, you can see that the blade is bent, and that's usually because somebody has hit something. And when you hit something with a lawnmower, usually what happens is the flywheel key shears. What I mean by that is it's not positioned where it should be anymore, and it's throwing off the ignition, the spark to the spark plug. So that's why if the shearing is excessive, you will get really bad kickback when you go to start your mower. If it's not so excessive, you will get symptoms like this. Now, even though I'm doing this repair on a Tecumseh lawnmower engine, the same principle will apply to all other lawnmower engines. The first thing I'm going to do now is remove the two bolts here at the front. And by the way, it's a 5/16 socket I'm using. You also need to remove the bolt that holds the dipstick tube. And now you need to remove the fuel tank. Just pry it backwards and pull up. Now with a 3/8 socket, you need to remove both bolts here. And now you can pull the cover right up. And now with a 3/4 or 19mm socket, you need to remove the flywheel nut. And here's where the flywheel key is situated. As you can see, it's not totally lined up straight. It's just slightly sheared, but sheared enough to cause an issue. Here's the coil. The magnets are here, so it ends up throwing them off. If this flywheel key is slightly sheared like this, you will have problems. At this point in the repair, it's a good idea to disconnect the spark plug boot, just for safety reasons. And I like to set up a pair of vice grips to keep the brake handle down. This is to release the brake underneath the flywheel so that when I go to remove it, it's easier to get off. If you don't depress the brake handle when you pull up the flywheel, you could damage the little brake pad underneath. Now what I like to do to remove the flywheel is tap with a 1/4 inch tap here the 3 holes on the flywheel. And I'm going to add a drop of oil in each hole to make it easier to thread. Now I'm going to clean out the 3 holes with an air gun. Make sure to wear safety glasses when you do this. And I'm going to use a puller like this. It's called a harmonic balancer puller. And you want the adapter with a pointy tip. And I've inserted 1/4 inch bolts with these plates here. And now I need to screw them a bit deeper into the flywheel. If you don't have the impact that I'm using today, you can do it manually with a ratchet and a socket. They have to be deep enough so when you tighten up the puller, they don't rip out of the threads. I'll be using this impact today as well. If you don't have an impact, just log the blade with a piece of wood and do it manually with a wrench. And make sure you wear your safety glasses when you do this. And the flywheel popped out very easily. And now just remove the bolts from the flywheel puller. And you're actually done using this tool. Now if you don't have a puller to do this job, sometimes a brass hammer and a pry bar underneath the flywheel will work. Or you can use a pneumatic jackhammer. You just hammer down the hole here with the jackhammer. You do have to be careful using those methods because you could end up damaging the threads on the crankshaft. And here's the key here. When you first look at it, it doesn't look too bad. But if you look at it closely here, you can see a scar right across it. That means there's been some kind of blunt force on it. You can see it mostly here, how it's not totally straight. And the flywheel key that I'm using today is part number 611298 from Tecumseh. It's actually a steel flywheel key. There is a link under the video to where you can buy this directly online. For my Canadian viewers, if you want to purchase this flywheel key, just contact me directly. Now the reinstallation is quite easy. Just reinsert the new flywheel key. Reinsert the flywheel and line up the keyway hole to the key on the shaft. Now reinstall the starter cup. There's a washer that goes here, and then there's the nut. Since I'm tightening it up manually with a ratchet, I've put a piece of wood to lock up the blade against the body. It's a piece of 2x4. Now I don't have the torque specs, but just use common sense. We're not working on the space shuttle. You want it fairly tight. And that's good. At this point you can reinstall the metal shroud. And it's also a good time to reconnect the spark plug. Next you want to reinstall these 2 bolts. And they go right here. And I'm going to manually tighten them up as well. Now you need to reinstall the 2 back bolts here. And I'll manually tighten them up as well with my 3/8 socket. And now just reattach the fuel tank. Just slide it into the grooves. The very last bolt to install is this one that holds the oil tube. Now's a good time to disconnect the vice grips. Now at this point here, I'm going to try it out. I just put on a new blade so that it doesn't vibrate. I'm just going to prime it. So just by changing that flywheel key, it runs a lot better, as you can see. If you follow my video step by step, anybody can do this repair. Also make sure to be safe when you do repairs and wear your safety glasses. Thanks again for watching. Make sure to subscribe and follow me on Instagram, Google+, Twitter, and Facebook. And have yourselves a great day.